Well, folks, today is June 30th, 2025, and it is confirmed Idaho is a portal to hell. Not only has there been recent drama in the court filings with the Idaho 4 Bryan Kohberger trial, where the defense's motion to present alternate perpetrators was shot down by King Hippler, there's now a 20-year-old who is intentionally setting fires and luring first responders and the fire department into the woods, where he then ambushed them in a sniper style attack. Wess Roley was the 20-year-old shooter. It is suspected that one of the victims' names is Captain Tanner Leach from Bonner County. It's not been publicly confirmed, but just rumored. Now, there is no public connection to the Aryan Brotherhood that we know of yet, because a lot of people have talked about the location and the 24th or 25th anniversary of some drama where the Aryan Brotherhood went bankrupt. And I'm going to get into all of that. However, you may have noticed that I have my tinfoil hat on, because I'm going to read some articles and then I'm going to go into some things that just like my spidey senses are going off. So let me know in the comments if you guys agree that something just doesn't seem right about this. And if you're not subscribed, please click that subscribe button. Go ahead and hit the like button while you're at it. I go live every weeknight at 7 p.m. Central. And so let's talk about this location, Priest River, Idaho. Deep in Idaho's northern panhandle, it's historically associated with militia, anti-government sentiment, residual white supremacist groups. Has a big presence there. The region is less than an hour from Hayden Lake, which is the former home of the Aryan Nations compound. It's directly tied to the fire department burning down a church, which I just touched on briefly. The date of June 29th is just one day after the anniversary of the Aryan Nations bankruptcy and falls within the same 1 week span where their compound was dismantled, the fire department burned their buildings, and national white supremacist circles mourned what they called, quote unquote, the day the movement was betrayed by the courts and fire, end quote. So I don't think the timing is random. I feel like in these type of groups, anniversaries are ritualized, maybe as an act of memory. Sometimes they're done just by lone wolves. But what's interesting too is this 20-year-old set a trap, lures firefighters into a burning area. Then he's killed at the scene. You would think that it would be in a shootout from the SWAT team or the cops. But when we go ahead and we start reading into some of these articles, which is what I was just also going to touch on too, there has been so much stuff going on in Idaho. It's almost hard to keep up with. Not to be making a joke about this, but when Steve G had said in his interview in front of the Moscow PD, it's time to put Idaho on the map. Well, Idaho has definitely been put on the map. But here is something that I want to talk about. I went through a bunch of articles, and I'm going to read these. So this is how the grandfather of Wess Roley described him. Quote unquote, pretty much a normal kid. In a phone interview with CBS News, Dale Roley, the paternal grandfather of Wess Roley, said he learned from news reports and other family members about his grandson's involvement. He described Wess as pretty much a normal kid. He said his grandson had recently lost his cell phone and did not have a high-powered rifle. He had a .22 long rifle and a shotgun, he said. That's not a high-powered rifle by any stretch. We're just hoping there's some weird circumstances and Wess wasn't actually involved. Now, you can say, oh, maybe the grandpa is in denial. As I go through these articles, I want you to join me in putting my tinfoil hat on and putting your tinfoil hat on and maybe try to logically bridge build, the grandfather's instinct might be right. So Dale Roley confirmed that Wess had worked for his father's tree company, but more recently was working at a different tree company in Coeur d'Alene. He said his grandson, quote unquote, wanted to be a fireman and applied for a job with the Forestry Service 4 or 5 months ago. According to a Facebook post by his mother, Wess moved from Arizona to Idaho when he turned 18 in 2023 to work for his father's tree cutting company. In an update shared in October 2024, his mother wrote that he was doing great living in Idaho. It goes on to say Dale Roley said he last spoke with his grandson about 3 weeks ago before he lost his phone. And at that time, Wess was, quote unquote, optimistic about the future. He was excited about stuff, he said. This is like a shot in the dark. Somebody wouldn't do something like this if he didn't snap. We have no idea what was the catalyst that created this problem. He liked the woods. Now, I want you to remember this part about what his grandfather says. He liked the woods. He was a hunter, fisherman. There's no rhyme or reason here that I can find, or his dad. We're talking on the phone. He's like, how did this happen? Well, of course, once this does happen, all of your social media gets dug into. People start to look at anything and everything. In a now deleted Instagram story posted by the suspect, it shows him in camouflage, dark makeup, and mask. Authorities on Monday shared a now deleted photo posted by suspect Wess Roley on his Instagram. In the photo, Roley is kneeling or sitting, wearing dark camouflage, dark makeup, and a mask, and also appears to be carrying ammunition. The story was shared with the song, quote unquote, Hunter by Jork. Kootenai County Sheriff Bob Norris says the suspect's social media was, quote unquote, wiped, but he did not know who deleted posts. Sheriff Norris goes on to say, it was unclear how the suspect had died. His body was removed quickly from where it was because of the rapidly spreading fire. So I wanted to read that because that's the initial reports. As we all know, the initial reports, before that everybody can get all the narrative straight and the big mainstream media can all get on the same page, I feel like reports like this are usually the most damning and they tell a lot of the truth. I think it's a little bit weird that his social media was wiped, but he did not know who deleted the post. Okay, did he delete his post? Maybe, but his grandpa says he's a hunter and a fisherman. He's said that he had a 22 long rifle and a shotgun, hunting rifles essentially, and he posted a story to his Instagram with the song Hunter. Now, you can go and you can twist it and you'd be like, oh, yeah, wow, like he's going to go hunt fire department. I don't think it's that. I mean, I think his grandpa might be very accurate. Like if he was out in the woods hunting, I don't see how that's a stretch that this dude was hunting. Now, if he lost his phone, that's interesting. But I'm going to keep reading these articles. Stick with me here. The police used cell phone data to trace the location of the shooter, identifying a cell signal at around 3:15 p.m. that had not moved for some time. Norris said at the evening that's what he said at the evening conference. There, a tactical response team found a man lying dead with a weapon nearby, whom authorities believe was the shooter. Because of the encroaching fire, authorities had to, quote unquote, scoop the body up, Norris said. The scene was compromised as a result. But we had to do what we had to do to preserve the body. The investigation will continue Monday morning after the fire is cleared and investigators can search the area, Norris said, adding that they believe they may find more weapons placed in the area. Norris said the shooter used a rifle, but oddly enough, did not release details about the weapon. While the investigation is ongoing, investigators believe there was one shooter who moved around to shoot from different positions. He added, authorities have not confirmed the suspect's identity. Okay, but isn't that interesting? They said that he moved around, yet they said the cell signal that alerted them, it had not moved for some time. His grandpa said he had a 22 and a shotgun, which I agree with him. That is not a high-powered rifle. And of course, he's not going to release the details about the weapon. They had to scoop the body up and the scene is compromised. while also saying it's unclear how the suspect had died. So here's what's very interesting. During a 4:30 p.m. press conference, Norris said the number of shooters and casualties remained unclear. We are actively taking fire sniper as we speak. I'm sure that meant sniper fire. But again, he said the number of shooters was unclear. At 6:30 p.m., agencies were told the situation remained an active shooting scenario. But yet his phone hadn't moved for quite some time. That's what got them to dial in on him. Yet they're saying that there's taking sniper fire from it's moving around. So he was camouflaged in a heavy brush, and the smoke appeared to be well prepared. They're blending in with their surroundings. They are blending in with their surroundings. Kind of sounds plural, doesn't it? The shots appeared to come from high-powered rifles, meaning they seemed like they had more than one rifle, and modern sporting rifles, he added, initially believing the gunfire to be coming from multiple positions. Authorities learned of the dead suspect at about 7:40 p.m. Sunday after a tactical response team tracked a cell phone signal again, which had been in the same location since 3:16. Well, how is he moving around and there's multiple weapons then? The deceased man was found with a firearm nearby. It's unclear whether Roley died as a result of police fire. Guys, you have got to be shitting me. For all we know, this kid was killed by the people who actually lured them out. And the police just found him. We have one dead shooter, Sheriff Bob Norris said at a Sunday evening press conference, assuring the public there's no ongoing threat to the community. You know, between the cell phone tracking and the social media being wiped and these weird posts and the community being safe, it sure sounds similar. Based on the trajectory and based on the type of weapons that this individual had that we could recover, we believe now he's the only shooter. So this is a picture of him. Again, you can see the cell phone here. It's a picture of a picture, just like this. Apparently, this is how they put out suspect information. I have this photo down here because this just looks odd, doesn't it? Obviously, this photo looks like it was completely AI generated or enhanced or edited with it, but so does this. It looks really weird. So what I did is I put this image into an AI forensic facial analysis. The conclusion was that this image is almost certainly GAN generated. Well, what does GAN mean? Generative adversarial networks, which create realistic images through text-based prompts by modifying existing images. There's no record of this face as a real individual in arrest logs, academia, or social media indexing, which in the articles too, it states that they had about 3 run-ins with him for just minor things. Exact facial features appear in multiple AI art repositories. When I started reading this, my head was spinning. I couldn't believe it. The lighting, skin texture, and anatomical alignment are classic outputs of styled GAN and Midjourney. When I did a reverse image search, the same face appeared in AI art forums, GAN model galleries, and Pinterest boards of all places. So it definitely shares signature traits with StyleGAN 2 and Midjourney V6 generations. So that's essentially like they're taking facial features that are used on like fake people that aren't real, and it's identifying that this face is one of those. So here's where my tinfoil hat comes into play. And that is, there is a gentleman named Jason Miller that immediately after this shooting started, Fox 5 DC and a few others reported the shooter's name as such, Jason Miller. Jason Miller is a real individual, but how weird is this? He filed FOIAs against Latah County and Moscow PD. He requested documentation tied to the Idaho 4 investigation, first responder body cam logs, and evidence of chain of custody. And he was actively questioning the legitimacy of the Bryan Kohberger prosecution. And then suddenly he's just falsely named as a killer in a domestic terror shooting. Then he raced. No correction, no apology, no follow-up. So either it's a smear campaign and they're trying to discredit him purposefully, or you guys just read those articles with me. The police have no idea how this dude died. They said there was multiple shooters. They said that his phone didn't move for quite some time. This dude lives out near the area. He's actively investigating this. There was the alt perp case a day before this shooting happened where it was dismissed, or it's not going to be allowed. That to me seems like way more of a motive than a 20-year-old who has no known affiliation with the Aryan Brotherhood giving up his life to get revenge for something that happened when he wasn't even alive. I understand there's a giant presence out there. I'm not saying that maybe there's not a chance, but what if this kid was literally just outdoors, like what his grandpa and his dad think? What if this kid was just like hunting or camping? Apparently he was living out of his car too, so I don't think it's unrealistic to think that he was, set up out in the woods. For all we know, he could have been scared. He could have gone grabbed his rifle when the shooting started or the fire started. He couldn't got out. And maybe he did get shot by the cops on accident. Maybe the actual shooter or shooters killed him. As the police and the sheriff stated, they have no idea how this kid died. Then you look at, again, to go back through it, the oddities in his face. Something's not right with this, and I just can't put my finger on it, but right away, all of this jumped out at me. So let me know in the comments what you guys think. Also, let me know if you've heard of that whole Jason Miller dude getting named as the shooter initially and then just not talked about. This has not gotten enough media attention. And there was a press conference that happened about an hour ago where I believe the victims' names are about to be released by the end of it. So I will continue to provide updates on this, but I don't think it's a stretch to think that this might have to do with a ruling, especially if the initial shooter has all those FOIA requests. Make sure you hit the subscribe and the like button. That helps me out immensely. I have a Discord link in my YouTube bio. Just click more and then scroll down. We have the headquarters for the Hive Minds, which is what I call my chat. So it's our off-stream area to dive into any case, not just the Idaho 4. And we'll hop into group chats and voice chats, and it's a lot of fun. So if you're not in the Discord, go ahead and join it. And I will be live 7 p.m. Central every weeknight. Cheers.